One of the most effective things that you can do in your business, in your brand, is build trust and a bond with your customers or future customers. And the best way of doing that is by writing emails. But the big question I get asked a lot, and I'm going to be answering here today, is, Scott, how do I write emails without being salesy? How do I deliver value? I don't want to bother people, but I also want to make some money. So in this episode, I'm going to share with you exactly how you can do that, and people are going to love you in the process. Sound good? Stick around. That's what we're going to cover in this episode. Well, hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to the podcast. I cannot wait to share with you something that just happened, and I wasn't sure that I was going to air this on the podcast, but I decided to because it was that valuable. Some of you may or may not know, but there's a couple of big things happening right now. One of them you may already know, and that is I started doing a morning coffee talk. We're calling ourselves the Take Action Morning Crew. And this is where I show up every single day, 10 a.m. Eastern time. I've been doing that through this whole quarantine thing, and I'm going to continue it as long as people like you are showing up. So if you have not attended one of these, you definitely want to make sure that you do, because we're having a lot of fun over there. All right. And the way you can do that is just head over to the Facebook page, and from there you will get access to our lives, or at least you'll be notified when we go live. All right. So make sure that you do that. What I decided to do here today on this Ask Scott session, which by the way is episode 257 of this podcast, and I'm going to be sharing with you our recent, actually, I just recorded that this morning, or I did it live this morning with the coffee crew, and we talked about this. I broke down an email. I wrote an email. I broke it down, showing you exactly how to do this day in and day out. People will look forward to your emails. You'll be able to sell in your email, but in a really cool way. You'll be able to drive traffic to your website, and we talk all about how that all comes together. So I'm going to share with you part of this discussion that we did during our coffee talk this morning. All right. So before I do run that right now for you, or air that, what I did want to do is also let you know that something is going to be changing here on the podcast. I can't give it all away right now, but something's going to be changing, and I really believe it's going to be for the better. I'm going to be making that announcement this Monday. So if you're listening to this on the Friday before May 11th, well, then you're in for a treat. I'm going to be announcing it here on the podcast Monday. All right. That episode will be all about why I'm making this little bit of a change, where we're going, why we're going there, and really the whole decision process, because it wasn't easy. It was something that I've been wanting to do for a while, but I'm finally doing it, and I'm going to push myself to do it. So the accountability part here is me letting you know that it's happening. So if you're listening to this after the fact, then, well, you can probably skip ahead and listen to that episode, and you'll hear what this is all about, because this podcast will never be the same. It's going to change, and you're going to hear what I'm up to. All right. So make sure that you tune in to that episode. Let me just say, though, I'm not going anywhere. All right. That's first and foremost. All right. So with that all being said, let's listen in here on this conversation that I had with my Take Action Morning Crew this morning, and you can hear exactly how I broke down this email in front of everyone. And from there, I go through the psychology of it, but also how you can sell, but not really have to sell in an email. If it doesn't make sense, it's going to. So stick around, listen, apply this to your business, and I promise you, it'll feel good when you're sending out really good emails to cool people. All right, so sit back, relax, enjoy. All right, so we all know, well, we should know that email marketing is, you guys know I'm a huge fan, okay? I've been doing email marketing for years, okay? And it's not really changed. It really hasn't. I mean, the same messaging that I was doing way back in the day, I've learned a ton. I've been able to write better, which, by the way, if you're thinking to yourself, I don't know how to write, I can't write. Well, I'm here to tell you that if I can write, you can write, because I struggled for the longest time. I still struggle, but there is a formula. All right. And as you do more of it, you're going to get better at it. It's like anything, right? We flex the muscle we're going to get, stronger. So we want to just keep flexing that muscle. The other thing I get from a lot of people too is like, well, I'm not quite sure what to write. Do you guys, for anyone that has an email list right now, do you struggle with what to write? Like, are you sitting there like, oh, I know I should write my email list, but I'm just not sure I don't really have anything to say. I don't know what, I don't know what to say to them. I don't know what to write. Let me know in the comments if you're stuck there at all. We can go over some ideas on how to get you unstuck. But I think after you read this email that I wrote this morning, you'll see exactly what I mean. And actually, the email I wrote this morning to maybe you might have received it, but everyone that is a podcast listener that has signed up to receive emails from me this morning, I just kind of jumped on and I talked about what I wanted to talk about. Nothing for sale. I talked about our coffee talk here a little bit. I talked about just keeping things simple, how to get out there and rock your week. Like that was it, right? But there is some things that I'm doing in those emails that are intentional. And I think being intentional when writing email or doing anything is really, really important. Super important. All right. So you want to be intentional to a certain degree. All right. So let me dive in here. All right. Let's see. There we go. Okay. So here we go. Here is the email that I wrote. You can see my cursor there. That's good because then I can highlight things. So see this right here? That's our subject line. Now, if you guys were on one of our past coffee talks, you heard me talk about subject lines, how to get attention in writing emails. Like, how do I get attention in an inbox? We talked about that. Well, in that inbox, we're kind of competing with other people. The first thing is we want people to trust you. So how do you do that? You show up with value. And this email right here is going to demonstrate how you add value and also build relationships, okay? And get people to really want to open your emails, all right? So I'm going to read through this and then I'm going to break it down. We'll talk through some of these things that I'm doing, but also how you can incorporate this, all right? So the subject line would read, new bass fishing tip. And then in brackets, you need to try this. So number one, we use the word new. Okay. So we talked about that. New is like the ultimate. Everyone wants something new. I actually just used that today in another brand of mine. And I used new as the main thing. I even put it in brackets. It gets attention. We all want to know what's new, right? So now, not only does that work, it's not going to work if you just write new. It has to be to the right people. And if it's calling out what they signed up for or the market, right? So I'm writing to, let's say, the bass fishing market, right? So new bass fishing tip. So if I'm a bass fisherman and I signed up to receive either, maybe it's a tip on or a guide on how to catch more bass, or maybe I bought one of your bass fishing lures or something, right? And then I show up with new bass fishing tip, right? I talked about this the other day too. I bought some bird feed or bird seed and also some deer food. And I bought it from Tractor Supply. They should have sent me an email following up maybe a week later and said, hey, 5 tips to keep squirrels out of your feeder. I would have read that, right? Instead of just sending me out a flyer, right? So you got to know who you're speaking to. That's number one. So I know that if I'm writing to bass fishermen or women, you're basically looking to catch more bass. So you're going to see here, new bass fishing tip, and then you need to try this. It makes me want to read even more because I'm like, I want to know what you're talking about. What do I want to try, right? So that's first step, all right? So now moving into the email, I start out not by necessarily speaking to everyone, although you can say, hey there, friends, if you want, or you can just jump right in as if you're talking to a friend. I like talking one-on-one. I like speaking to one person. That's how I like to write. So listen, let's go through this, and then I'm going to go back and we're going to do a little bit of deep dive here. Okay, I hope you had a great weekend and you had a chance to drop the line in the water. Today, I had to share this new tip I tried over the weekend because in the past, I've struggled with catching fish in ponds, right? So then I move on to, there's a new color green worm on the market and a ton of others are saying it works like no other, okay? So I put it to the test and holy moly, it worked like crazy. But I learned a simple tip that made this work even better on how I attach the rubber worm. Watch the video I shot here, plus pick of 5-pound bass, right? I still can't believe how well this works. You need to give it a try. Trust me. You'll thank me later. Smiley face. Have a great day. Tight lines, my friend. Jim. P.S. Oh, I forgot to mention, I tried 3 different lures with this new color worm, and I give the pros and cons of all 3 here too. And then that would link to the video. That's it. That is the email. So I'm going to break this down now. All right. After I take a sip of coffee. Do you think you could write an email like that? How hard is that? Like, it is so simple. You're not trying to sell anything, right? And here's the thing. If you're looking at like, what am I doing here? And I'll break this down. What am I doing here? How could you possibly buy something from me? We're going to get into that. Okay. And you don't always need to sell. Okay. But if you also are building a brand, as we've talked in the past, and it's built off content and it's built off of a website with a blog, well, we can make money once people arrive there. So all we got to do is get them there. But what if we can get them there all the time? What if we send an email out and we get 1,000 people from our email list to actually go there, not read it, not open it, go there, clicks. All right. We've been able to get 2,000 to 3,000 link clicks from one email that go over to our blog. Imagine that, right? By doing this, not selling. The emails I write in this one brand, I send 3 emails a week. We don't sell anything in there. Maybe once a month, we'll put a promotion out there, but it's always backed with content. Always. All right. All right. So I know there's going to be a flood of questions, so I'm going to leave a little bit more time here today, and I don't want to go too long here. I try to keep these to 30 minutes. It's not always easy. All right. So let me just kind of go through this. So I start off by saying, I hope you had a great weekend and you had a chance to drop the line in the water. That's as if I was talking to you. Let's say I'm talking to my buddy, Todd. Todd, I just wrote this email to you. You're a bass fisherman. We're buddies, right? I hope you had a great weekend and you had a chance to drop the line in the water. Okay. Today, I had to share this new tip I tried over the weekend because in the past, I've struggled with catching fish in ponds. I probably could have said there, I've struggled with catching bass in ponds, something like that. And then I went on to say, there's a new color green worm on the market and a ton of others are saying it works like no other. So I put it to the test and holy moly, it worked like crazy. I'm sharing this with a buddy. I'm sharing this with one person, but actually it's to many. Okay. But I learned a simple tip that made this work even better on how I attach the rubber worm. Curiosity. You see what happened there? So I'm bonding in the front part, right? You and I, we're together. We're in this. Hope you had a great weekend, just like I would a friend, right? Because I look at everyone that's on my email list as a friend. Okay. And that's how you should as well. Okay. So I'm adding curiosity there. Also, there's a problem there, and most people that are bass fishermen probably struggle in a pond. I know I do right now. I've got a pond out back. I've been trying to catch a bass for like the past 2 weeks, and I haven't had any luck. And I'm trying all these different things, but I have caught bass in there, so I know they're in there, right? So this kind of is meta, but I'm not a huge bass fisherman. I like fishing. I'm not that great at it. So this terminology doesn't really jives. So anyway, so I went on to say, so I put it to the test and holy moly, it worked like crazy. So again, you're like, oh my gosh, I want to see what the heck this is. A green worm. What kind of green? What color is it? I like, what type of green? Is it lime green? Is it dark green? Like, what is it? Is it speckly? I don't know. Right. But I'm just dropping in curiosity. Okay. I'm not showing a picture in here right now, although I could, which also can work. But then I go on to say, but I learned a simple tip that made this work even better on how I attached the rubber worm. Watch the video I shot here, plus pick of 5-pound bass. So number one, you want to watch the video if you want to see exactly how I did it. And then number two, I'm stacking another part of curiosity. You want to see that 5-pound bass, right? Who doesn't want to see a 5-pound bass if you're a bass fisherman, right? I still can't believe how well this works. You need to give it a try. Trust me. You'll thank me later, smiley face. That right there, that little you'll thank me later, smiley face, joke. It's a joke. If you and I were hanging out, I'd be like, you got to give that a try. You'll thank me later. You're just speaking your voice inside of that email. That's all that we're doing here. That's how you create relationships. That's how you make yourself real and not a company. There's no, Best Buy is not going to do that. Tractor Supply is not going to do that. Okay. We're going to do that. And that is powerful. Okay. It's huge. Have a great day. Tight lines, my friend. I learned tight lines from my buddy Todd, who's in Brand Creators Academy. And him and another guy were going back and forth. And then they just signed off and said tight lines. And I'm like, what the heck does that mean? They said, well, it's when you're a fisherman, that's kind of like the talk. So I said, okay, I'm going to start using that. Signed it off as Jim. P.S. Oh, I forgot to mention, I tried 3 different lures with this new color worm and I give the pros and cons on all 3 here too. What's that do? Another piece of curiosity. I want to know what 3 lures you were using. You see, so simple, but you need to understand how you're writing as far as who you're writing to, the voice you're using, and all of that stuff. It does not have to be hard. Okay. Very, very short email, but you can see all of the different things that's happening inside of that email. And then you just rinse and repeat. You always open a little bit of like, hey, hope you had a great weekend. Oh, hey, hope I'm not bothering you right now, but I had to share this with you, right? It's like you would share a friend. Practice writing an email to one person, one of your friends, because you just discovered a new gardening thing that that they're a gardener and you're like, you got to try this. I don't want to use chemicals, but I've been using vinegar and it's been really working well. You got to try this. It's a certain blend or something. I don't know, right? How would you write that to a friend? Practice doing that. It's not that hard. Okay, we're going to have some questions. All right, well, there you have it. A great morning coffee talk. I have so much fun. I am so glad that I ended up doing that. Another thing that came good of, this quarantine, because, I wasn't going to ever do this. I was thinking about it, but I'm like, I don't know if I want to show up in the morning, every morning, but I'm like, you know what? Right now, people need it. And I've been wanting to connect on a daily basis. So I'm just going to do it. And guess what? I did it. Just like this podcast. This is what? 826 episodes? Is that what we're at? Yeah, we're at 826. Crazy, right? Didn't know where this podcast was going to go. Well, here we are, 5 years later, and something's going to change. So make sure that you pay attention here. You listen in. This Monday, May 11th, I'm going to make a huge announcement, something I am super excited about, a little nervous about, but more excited. So stick around for that episode. And until then, remember, guys, I'm here for you. I believe in you, and I am rooting for you. But you have to, come on, say it with me, say it loud, say it proud, take action. Have an awesome, amazing day, and I'll see you right back here on the next episode. Now go get them. Boom, boom.